Time for 40 weeks and more. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. I want to ask, are there couples who do not desire their own babies? I want to believe there are, but kid you not, there are so many other couples who desire to have their own children and they are unable to. Today on 40 Weeks and More, we are discussing infertility, and Reverend Asante Adjei will join us on set to tell us how he and his wife battled infertility until God smiled on them and they had their babies. All of this coming up for you on 40 Weeks and More right now. Please join me to say a very big thank you to my sponsors, Ernest Chemist Limited, to Ship Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, and also to Labadi Beach Hotel. We are also grateful to Deco Zone, The Better Merchandise, and Lunch Avenue for supporting 40 Weeks and More. Today on the show, we are talking about infertility, how a couple can be cured of it. At what point in time would doctors even say that a couple are infertile? What can be done for a woman to be able to hold her baby in her arms after going through 40 weeks? Is it even possible? All that coming up on 40 Weeks and More right now. But ahead of that, please meet my guests.
Hello, my name is Reverend Asante Adjei. This week's 40 Weeks and More, I'm going to share my story on how my wife and I encountered and overcame infertility. You are infertile, waiting for a child. It will be well, trust the Lord.
I am Dr. Promise Sefogah, consultant, obstetrician, gynecologist, Shape Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, and a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Medical School. This week on 40 Weeks and More, we're talking about infertility.
Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Promise Sefogah.
Yes, madam.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Same here.
Today you are cladded.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me again.
Reverend Asante Adjei.
Yes, ma'am.
Akwaba.
And yeah,
Thank you for joining us on 40 Weeks and More.
my pleasure.
How are you?
Doing great.
And how is mommy doing?
Doing fine, just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations
still
to
enjoying
you.
it. Yes, thank you.
Reverend Asante Adjei, you still really to be enjoying marriage. Even in your old age.
Yes, just by the grace.
That's right.
We thank God. We get into the conversation right away. I know that you and your wife battled, with, I don't know whether at this point to call it infertility. I am no doctor, but you had to struggle a little bit before being able to have children. How long was it after marriage?
Thank you very much. We got married in 1984, and we got our first child in 1990. So that would have been 6 years.
6 years.
Yes, but it wasn't just the same story. 84, actually before we got married, we had decided that we were going to get a child in the first year of marriage.
Okay, that was your decision?
Yes.
As a couple?
Yes. One, I was very young, 26 years.
Oh, I see.
And I thought, and we didn't know ourselves enough. So we decided, let's enjoy ourselves for at least 1 year.
Oh.
Or even 2. So that because pregnancy would distort the woman with vomiting and all those things. So let's enjoy for 2 years. So for 2 years, our plan was to engage in activities around times when we are sure there will be no pregnancy using all those other things. So that was the plan. And it worked well. So after 2 years, we said, okay, now after 2 years, we want a child. So let's reverse it.
You people were playing God.
Well, I didn't know. So let's resolve it. Let's reverse it. And so we began now trying to hit. And
it wasn't hitting.
The third year, there was nothing. So then we had thought since we could avoid getting pregnant, we could get pregnant at will.
Let me ask you, The 2 years that you were planning not to get pregnant, were you on any family planning?
No family planning.
No family planning.
No,
okay.
we were not on any family
You were
planning.
practicing safe sex.
Safe sex, yes.
Okay.
So in the third year, that was after the third year, they realized now it's 3 years in marriage. My friends who had got married after me had gotten children, and we didn't have any. So that was when we became alarmed.
Okay.
So we first talked to some of our friends, and there was this doctor in Kumasi, Dr. Fusubakun. He was at Tech Hospital, very a prominent gynecologist. So my wife was the first to see him for treatment. So she kept going, and then at a point, the doctor invited me. I went to see him. He asked for sperm analysis, so I gave him the sperms, and then he gave me some medications. And the instructions was very clear. Take 3 tablets daily for 90 days without break. So
you were supposed to be taking
yes,
the medications.
Yes.
Did they tell you why
Yes,
you had to take the medications?
No, the doctor told me I had low sperm count, and that the medication would boost it.
Okay.
That I shouldn't break the dosage 3 times daily for 3 months.
Okay.
So, and it was very expensive. So a friend actually volunteered to pay half of the cost for us.
Are you serious?
And
it was that bad?
Yes. And the pharmacist also was gracious. He said, okay, you pay for 1 month, and I will reserve the rest for you so you don't miss. So
wow.
I began taking the medications, and then I think
Please hold on. Your wife was not diagnosed of any challenge. You were the one who had the challenge.
I don't know. She was also giving medications.
To take?
To take.
Okay.
Yes.
But you don't remember what she was told her problem was?
No, I don't remember.
All right.
But when I went, then he asked me to take, after the test, he gave a prescription.
That you take?
And I began to take it.
The medication.
And so after, I think 6 weeks or so, my wife got pregnant. Okay. And then the doctor said, continue, don't break it. So I took the full course of 90 days, and then we were very excited because now she was pregnant. Unfortunately, I think in the 3rd month or so, she had a miscarriage.
Okay.
And so back to square one.
Okay. But please hold it there. I want to ask Doc a few questions, and then we'll come back to you. Remember that we were breaking at the point where your wife was pregnant, you were excited, and then after 3 months, she lost the pregnancy. But Doc, let me come to you now.
Yeah.
So usually when there are no babies in a marriage situation, the woman is always blamed. You know, I mean, people think that it is the woman.
Yeah.
And so she's the one who have to start seeking medical care and all that. Tell me the bit about low sperm count in women, because eventually when he agreed, when he agreed to go with his wife, he was told that he had low sperm count.
Yeah.
So it means that even the first 2 years, if they didn't intend not to get pregnant, they probably still wouldn't have gotten pregnant.
Yeah, correct. Yes. So for us to even say the couple has infertility, this couple should have been together with regular, unprotected intimacy for 12 months.
1 year.
Okay, 1 year. If after a year of being together and having adequate intimacy, there's no conception, then we say, yes, this couple has infertility.
Doc, where adequate means?
Adequate for us would say a minimum or average of 3 times weekly.
Okay.
Okay. And if the woman in this couple is 35 years and above,
okay,
then we don't have to wait for them to clock 1 year without conceiving before we take infertility. 6 months, it's infertility, just so that we can start investigating and acting quicker.
Okay, infertility, but you're not pinning it on the woman yet.
No.
You say that the couple
has infertility
situation.
Yes.
Then you investigate to find out where the problem is coming from.
Because
okay,
infertility is always a couple problem. It's not a woman's problem. Unfortunately, for a long time in our society, the men have been given some sort of diplomatic immunity culturally. And so everybody is focusing on the woman. Meanwhile, globally, we know that 1 out of every 6 couples has infertility now. And if you take 10 couples with infertility, 3 out of the 10, yes, the woman is solely the reason why it is happening. Another 3 out of the 10, it is solely a man's problem.
Okay.
Another 3 out of the 10 is from here and here combined. 1% we are not sure. We say it's unexplained. Okay? But locally in Ghana, we are even seeing that more than 50% of the cases are attributable to the men.
I see.
Yes. So we don't have the business focusing on the women, tagging them, calling them names, giving them undue pressure, and shielding the men.
Oh.
You know, so it's a shared problem. And in Ghana, locally, the data shows that men are even leading in contributing to the causes of infertility than the woman. Yes.
I see.
Okay. And so it is not just a woman's problem.
Great.
Thankfully, along the line, he joined the wife in a consultation. But we are saying now that step forth together as a couple. Because typically in our society, when a woman alone comes, you counsel, give her all the instruction. When you go, tell your husband ABC. That husband is probably not even going to listen to her. You know, And so it's best they come together, right from the word go.
Okay. Great. So I asked about, low sperm count.
Yes. So in men, the infertility could be as a result of problems with the sperm. Okay. Now, unlike women, men are always producing sperms. Up until they hit the age of 45 years, then the production slows down.
Okay.
So for a man who is 45 years and older, it takes longer to conceive. Everything else being okay with a woman. Okay. So in the case of the woman, for instance, the baby girl is born with about 2 million eggs pre-packed on arrival. And out of that, about 1.5 million would die off by the time she attains puberty when her menstrual cycles begin. So she's left with about 500,000. And that is what will take care of her reproductive needs. So of that 500,000, every month, about 10 to 20 will begin developing, out of which 1 matures and becomes available for fertilization.
Okay.
The rest will die off. The next month, the same number, 10 to 20, will begin. 1 ovulates, the rest dies off. And so that's the reason why, as the woman is growing, her egg reserves are reducing. Which is why, by the time the woman hits 35 years, she's lost a great deal of her eggs. So whatever is left is limited in number as well as the quality.
Okay.
Which is why, for us, it is ideal if the woman is able to finish having babies by age 35. Okay. Unlike the man who continues to make sperms every 3 months, a new one is forming every 3 months. But from 45 years in the man, the quality of the sperms also begin to go down remarkably. Now, a measure of male fertility revolves around the semen. Okay, so the semen is the fluid that the man releases, and it contains the sperm, which is the living things inside the fluid. And we use a specific count to say you have adequate semen, and when we look down the microscope, we want to see a particular amount making a straight movement for us to be happy that your sperm movement or motility is normal.
Okay.
So for some man, the issue may be the count is too little. Another person, the count is okay, but the movement is too slow. So the sperm, we want them to be swimming in a straight line. But some are moving like this, like this, like this.
They miss road.
And some too are not. They are not moving at all. So we want a particular percentage to do that. Then we know that, okay, this can go and reach the egg to fertilize it. Another person would have problem with the movement, in which case too few are making the desired movement, or all of them are no movement at all. Those will require some medications to correct. Somebody has very reduced count, but the movement is okay. Or somebody has both reduced count and abnormal movement. And some people, especially when you drink a lot of alcohol, a lot of smoking, a lot of the sperms do not form well. The normal sperm has a big head, a long neck, and a long tail. Some of the sperms come with 2 heads, 2 tails. And
those
then
ones are abnormal.
they're abnormal. And they are the ones that result from a lot of lifestyle and environmental issues.
I see.
You know, and these are the things we are expecting. We'll begin to see a lot of with this problem of galamsey, where a lot of chemicals are seeping into our food chain. It's a matter of time. Okay. So, in the case where the man is not able to impregnate the wife, we investigate along these lines. Some of these will require medication. Okay. Occasionally, the man's semen does not contain any sperms at all. It's just the fluid.
Wow.
And that is what we call azoospermia. You want to try that?
Azoospermia.
Good.
I know they say people are azoospermic.
That's right. So azoospermia. That means the fluid that a man releases does not have one living sperm cell.
Wow.
And so later we're going to talk about how to deal with all of these.
And if you don't know all of these, then you will be blaming your wife and saying that you're performing, you are acting, everything, and she can't carry your baby.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Ignorance.
It's a disease.
Let me get back to you, Reverend Asante Adjei. So 3 months on after all the jubilation, we lose the pregnancy.
Yes, she lost the pregnancy, and so we went back to doctor, and he said, actually, she bled, she fell down and she bled. So doctor said to wait a while, and he checked and said, oh, we have to evacuate because the fetus was gone.
But how did she take it?
It was a big blow to us. I mean, having waited so long and pregnancy coming and then you lose it. Edem, I tell you, it's worse than losing a baby. Because this is a baby in the making. It's your baby. You're only waiting for it to mature and to hold it.
Yeah.
So if it's gone, it's your baby gone.
That's true.
It was painful. Well, but I think a year or so after, she got pregnant again. And this time, I didn't take any medications. I think after the pregnancy, I did another test. After 90 days, the doctor said I was okay. So I didn't go back to the medications again.
Okay.
And then she got pregnant, and then we had our first boy looking up. He's a police officer now in Paga.
After how many years?
This was about 5 years.
Hold on. You went on the medication, and the first time you went on the medication, how long were you on it before she got pregnant?
The medication was for 3 months.
So you
did got pregnant within the 3 months.
Okay.
Then after 3 months, I went for another test. Doctor cleared me.
Okay.
So she had been pregnant. Within the 3 months, she got pregnant.
Yes.
Then she had miscarriage after the 3 months.
Yes. Then after how long again?
I don't remember, but she gave birth in 1990. And I think the medication started in 1988, thereabout.
Okay. So that's about 2 years plus.
Yes.
Before she got pregnant again.
No. The pregnancy was in 88.
And that was the one she lost?
That's one she lost.
Yes.
Then she got pregnant again and gave birth in 1990. So 88, part of 88, and the whole of 89
she was pregnant.
For the pregnancy, and then she delivered in January 1990.
Okay. So how long did you guys have to be on treatment? Was it just 3 months?
I was on for the 3 months, but she was on for quite longer. Because she had gone to see the doctor about a year or so before I went in.
To see the doctor?
Yes, she had gone, she was given prescriptions, medications, vitamins, stuff like that. And even there was a procedure they call TI. I don't know the full name. I don't know, TI, whatever it is, but it was like cleaning of the womb, something. So she had gone
to do all that
ahead before I was invited by the doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So why would you then say that? Because I mean, my math may be wrong, but why would you then say that it took 6 years?
Because I married in 1984 and gave birth in 1990.
84, that's 6 years.
Yes.
But the first 2 years, you decided you weren't going to get pregnant.
I didn't have a child at the time. Even though it was my choice, I had no child.
At the time, I agree.
When I wanted it, it wasn't coming.
It took 4 years.
Yes.
It took 4 years as it is.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got married 84, got my first child in 1990.
I see.
So whether my choice or not my choice, I had no child.
Okay.
And it actually extended, as doctor said, who knows, even if you had wanted a child the first year, we might have had a problem because, but I didn't know, and we didn't know, and we weren't bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened.
Okay. Then after that one, it was easy to have the other ones?
Yes, after that one, she got pregnant again, and that one was also a stillborn. They were twins.
Wow.
They were twins. That was 1992. They were stillborn, and then another pregnancy came, and then we got Caris. He's now a PhD. In fact, he'll be graduating next month.
Congratulations
in US, yes.
to you.
Then that was 1993. Then she was pregnant again, and there was miscarriage. So it was like every pregnancy, after every pregnancy,
there is something.
was a miscarriage, and then we gave birth, and then miscarriage, and then finally we got a little girl, Shalomina, in 1996.
I see.
Yes. So,
Doc, there's something lurking on my mind, right? Why does it seem like when people are not able to have children for a bit, sometimes over a long period, the moment they start, then it is back to back to back? What happens? I've heard a lot of stories like that.
So a lot of the time, if there's a problem why the pregnancy is not coming, and we're able to solve the problem, then the system is okay now. So it just picks up. It's like your car is not starting, you got somebody to push it for you. Once you pick up, then
it starts
you're
going.
Yes.
Until maybe something happens again along the line.
Or until we pull the trigger
that is enough.
now there is okay.
Okay. Okay. Now I want us to open up the conversation. Generally, we've talked about what may cause infertility or low sperm counts in men. How about women? Generally, what will cause infertility in women?
So in women, infertility could be from the ovaries. So the ovary is where the woman's egg reserves are. So every month, one egg is released from here. Next month, another one from here. The next month from here, okay? So you need to ovulate regularly, monthly, to stand a chance of conceiving. Now, for the couple in whom the woman is ovulating well, every month that she releases an egg, there is 20 to 25% chance that she would conceive. So when your egg is released, does not necessarily mean that there will be pregnancy, okay? Now, when that egg is released, the egg would have to travel down the tube. This is what we call the fallopian tube. Okay, and so when the egg is journeying down the tube, that is when it is available for fertilization.
Okay.
So the couple has unprotected intercourse. The sperm is released here. Like we said, the sperm should be plenty enough and also be fast and strong enough to be able to swim up the cervix, come here, and it is attracted to where the egg is, and it goes to fertilize the egg.
It's such a journey.
It is. You know, a long journey for the sperm.
That's why it has to be strong.
Yes, it has to be strong. So it's the fittest sperms that will move to get there.
The
So it meets up with the egg, fertilizes it, and the fertilized egg is what we call the embryo. And that embryo will travel down here and settle inside the womb to become the pregnancy. Okay. What that means is for the pregnancy to happen, we need a good, healthy egg released. We need the tube to be patent. It shouldn't be blocked. It should be clear. And this is where we tend to see a lot of problem in the women. Majority of our women have problem with the tubes, yes. If you take 10 women who have difficulty conceiving, a minimum of 6 of them, the problem is with the tube.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes the tubes are blocked. Sometimes permanently blocked. Some of the time it is partial and we are able to do some procedures to flush it open, and then they get pregnant.
Permanently blocked means that nothing can be done about it.
Nothing can be done, yeah. We try what we do that opens it up and it doesn't open. It means, unfortunately, you don't have the benefit of your tubes. And majority of the tubal blockage result from infections.
And do you need both to be working at the same time?
If you have both, good. If one is blocked and one is okay, you are still okay. One can still have you deliver all your children. Okay? So what happens is, if the tube is working well, then the egg is able to make the journey and the sperm meets it up, fertilizers. Again, the inside of the womb here needs to be conducive. Now, the common problem we see here, which may be in the way of conceiving, is something we call polyp, which are some tiny growths inside the womb that you wouldn't see on an ordinary scan or other baseline investigations. We need to sometimes do some advanced testing to examine the inside, and we see, oh, there are polyps. We've seen that 40% of women trying to conceive with difficulty, they have polyps in the womb, and that's the reason. So once we detect it, we deal with it. Fibroids is another one. The fibroids will distort the entire womb. Sometimes they even cause blockage here, or sometimes they are right inside the womb where the baby is supposed to settle, and as a result, the pregnancy may not come, or sometimes the pregnancy manages to come, but soon it will miscarry because it's going to settle on a fibroid. And then, like we said, other times the problem will be from the semen or the sperm. So why would a woman not ovulate? Okay, a woman will not ovulate due to some hormonal imbalance related issues. The commonest one is what we call polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, it's the commonest hormonal problem that affects ovulation. So the ovary you see like that will develop small cysts, and then instead of one of them getting big enough to release the egg, that doesn't happen. As a result, that woman is not ovulating. These changes would make that woman a little obese. They tend to be a bit more hairy. The woman has hairy because there's some hormonal problems here. Sometimes they come with a lot of acne and then some skin changes. Okay, in that woman, losing weight has an important role to play. And then depending on how bad the hormonal problems are, we have to use medications to control it for the pregnancy to come.
I see. To be a woman now, the men, we talked about low sperm count.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it could be that the sperms are abnormal and all that. But I was trying to write some of the things you were saying about, you know, reasons a woman could be infertile.
Yeah.
Blocked tubes, polyps in the uterus.
Yes.
Fibroids also in the uterus.
Yeah.
Hormonal imbalance.
Yeah.
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Good.
Abba. One human being.
The women are special.
Well, special, that's why we have to be treated specially, honestly.
That's true.
And I will say it once again on 40 weeks and more. When a woman is pregnant around you, please pamper her.
Yeah.
We go through a lot to be able to carry that baby to term.
Yeah.
For you to, you know, now be doing, yeah, I'm a daddy.
I'm the man.
We go through a lot.
Yeah.
We'll come back to continue after this break. Thank you very much for being our guest. We have been talking about infertility and everything you need to know around it, what causes it. We will be talking about the treatments very soon. And Reverend Asante Adjei is also on the show. He's been telling us about how he and his wife battled infertility for, say, 6 years, but 2 of those years was voluntary. They didn't want to have children. Those 2 years, they wanted to know themselves better before having the children from the 3rd year. That was when it dawned on them, oops, we were unable to, and then they had to start treatment. His wife started, and then at some point when the doctor asked him to come, he went. You know, one thing that most men won't do readily, but he went. He was put on medication. He was told, he stressed it, he was told that he should not miss any of the medications, and he tells us that he followed through with it. And within those periods, 3 months into taking the medication, he got his wife pregnant. Unfortunately, the pregnancy was lost but they went through it again, and now they have 3 grown-up children. He even has grandchildren. I'm sure he'll tell us about it now. But let me say thank you to Ernest Chemist Limited, to Labadi Beach Hotel, and also to Shape Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, to Deco Zone, Lunch Avenue, and to the Better Merchandise. You all have been very supportive of 40 Weeks and More, and we are grateful. Reverend Asante Adjei, let's talk about how infertility impacted your relationship with your wife. Young couple at the time. You got married at 26. That's interesting.
Yes.
Young couple at the time. First 2 years, we're trying to know each other. And so 28, that's when you start trying for pregnancy. And then it wasn't coming. 30 years, it wasn't coming. How did it impact your relationship?
I think we were in it together. From the word go, when we realized pregnancy wasn't coming, both of us were concerned. Because I knew it wasn't a woman's problem, because both of us must get the children. So right from the word go, I was very supportive, and took us to see the doctor. And those days, you have to book an appointment. And it took a friend who knew Fusubako to get an appointment. And then you go to the clinic. It was a night clinic, because he was at Confanochi and at Tech. So night clinic, and I would take her there and then wait for her to get a...
Were you in Kumasi at the time too?
Yes, we were in Kumasi.
Okay, great.
We were in Kumasi. I was in Kumasi man until I came to Accra only 15 years ago.
Okay.
So I would go to Tech Hospital around 9 p.m. and tell her, go to the ladies' crowd and tell her, oh, I'm here waiting for you. Then the ladies will clap for me, because the men would not be there, but I would be there.
So you're queuing for her?
To assure her, I'm here waiting for you. Those days, Kumasi, the roads were bad. You couldn't get taxis, so at night you couldn't. Sometimes you have to walk from Tech to Asokwa, where we lived, and I was with her. So there wasn't that. I think the only challenge we had was when she had her menses. You know, doctor had told me you should work hard, as he said, at least 3 times a week.
You were doing it religiously. I was
doing it religiously, so very expectant. So when the time came and she menstruated,
then you're disappointed.
I was angry.
With who?
I don't know, but I was angry. So that was I remember one time she had a menses and she was crying, saw me in the night, and I didn't even know she had it. Then when I woke up and saw her crying, I asked why, she said she had a menses. And I was angry too. So can you imagine, she is crying because she's had a menses. And she needs comfort, and
from
I'm
her
angry
husband, and you're upset
because she had a menses. But see, the Lord intervened. I remember one morning around that period, when she had a menses, I was angry. She had gone to work, and I was home alone praying. Then the Lord asked me a question: why are you so angry with your wife? And I said, well, I've tried hard so much. I've worked hard this month, and I knew it was going to work. It didn't work. Then the Lord asked me, between you and your wife, who is more disappointed? I said, well, I am. He said, no, she is more disappointed than you, and she needs your comfort. You must strengthen her. And that was it. So I remember that day I made some soup. When she came home from work, everything was ready, fufu was ready.
Oh, wow.
I pounded, we were eating, and I said, hey, the Lord had told me something this morning.
So romantic.
And that I think I've been very, very insensitive to you.
Towards her.
So henceforth, I'm going to be a better man. And whatever I can do to make sure you get a child, I'm going to do it.
Amen.
And many, many years later, after we had published this book, we were speaking at a conference. And my wife said, that day when I told her this, I gave her that assurance, it was like the whole world taken off from her head. That she became so rested. And that was, I think, around the time that she actually got pregnant again. So that was my situation. But it wasn't like I was angry with her. I don't know whether...
You were just angry. You were disappointed.
I mean, you don't know who to be angry with, whether with God or with her or with myself.
Yourself.
I don't know. But it was those occasions that triggered animosity and tension in the home. But apart from that, once the menses was over and we could enjoy that fun, sex has a way of throwing away all your marital problems. So
and then it comes back
we moved
after
on, yes.
after you were expecting that
Exactly.
until
So
God intervened.
Exactly. And
How
and from
about
that
society?
time,
How
from that
about
time,
family?
Family. My family, initially when in our family home, my family home in Atasokwa, I come from Asokwa.
Okay.
And my cousins, some of them were very, very rude to her.
Because she wasn't having
Because she wasn't having a baby. You know, we had a wedding, you know, Kumasi wedding, and then this one of my cousins who had a child out of wedlock, you know, small girl turned around and got a baby. Then she would come and sit at our doorstep and cuddle her baby, throw her baby up and sing to her baby. Then my wife would enter our room, then she would go and stand behind the window and then sing.
Abba.
I mean, me ba man tono, me ba man breno, all kinds of things. So we had to relocate, move from that house to rent our own place somewhere.
Wow.
So that was the tension. But my family proper, initially when we got married, my big sister wasn't around. But when she came, she was angry that I'd married too early. But I told her, Madam, I don't depend upon you. You don't support my life. So please, this is the line, never talk about my marriage again. I drew the line for her. So that saved her.
Wow.
And then my mother wasn't initially interested in the marriage, but I told her, look, if you don't allow me to marry my wife, I'll travel and marry a Bruni. And so that made her sit up. So we didn't have much problem there.
Do you have a military background?
Military? My uncle's a military officer, but not me.
Not you.
I wanted to join the army, but they didn't accept me. No, so that was how,
Wow.
I think there was that protection I gave her. Now,
You
when I
did,
look back, I
indeed.
realized it was good. I kind of protected her from my family. And because we were in Kumasi, and she comes from Mampong, and her family were in Mampong. So they were not so close. But mine were close, and then I had to do that. And my friends, those who got married after me, who got children, well, they were sympathetic.
Okay.
At once in a while, you know, they would talk behind your back, Master, I don't want your Bema. Sometimes they will confront you. Now they won't game and I mean, you don't know Bema, you know.
Those things.
Yes, but well, how for do? We're praying. So that was it. And she was also a Sunday school teacher, teaching children. And she took so much delight and care for the children. Some of them became like our own children.
And
So
she didn't have her own.
well, we didn't have any at the time.
At that time, yeah.
And there were some twins who we actually adopted. We took them as our own. Their mother was a Presbyterian. The father had traveled, and they were Baptists, the children. So they became our children. And we nurtured them until we had our own.
Great. I think that, look, that's all everybody needs. If you're going through such difficult times, that is all. Look at how Doc is looking at you. Doc, what do you want to say before we talk about the treatment of infertility?
I mean, yes, listening to him, you know, we did some research recently just to explore the experiences of women suffering infertility. And I could just relate with the findings of the research. The women say every month they see their menses like a funeral.
Oh.
You know? And they said, I cannot go for any social gathering because when we sit at the table, this person says, oh, my daughter is now in KG. This one says, my daughter is in class. I don't have any. I can't contribute. So I'd rather stay home. Social isolation. And somebody says, my husband comes home and he says, you're not being a woman because it's babies I wanted from you. You can't get me a baby. So what are you? And then she will break down. So these are the things that our women go through on a daily basis. A few years ago, we woke up to the story of a couple that had killed themselves in the night because they weren't able to conceive. In Ghana here, also in the news, you know. But if all men, and indeed the men in those difficult situations, what they suffer is anger and frustration. So I just could relate when the pastor was saying it. The men get frustrated at why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? And everybody else in the society thinks, you know, we could just make negative comments at them. They are going through a lot, you know. But it is good the men are able to support the women. See what he said? Once he made that gesture and assured her, things got better. And soon after that, she conceived.
And the bit about drawing the line.
Yes.
Even if you're my family, you cannot disrespect my wife or make her miserable in my home. Congratulations to you, Reverend Asante Adjei. I think like this part of the conversation, we have to hammer it. The support is very important. Doc, let's talk about treatment of infertility.
Yeah. So in treating infertility, I'll talk briefly about what we do for the women. So the treatment will depend on what is causing your particular one. If it's a matter of not ovulating, it's medications. We put you on medications. If it has to do with your weight or to restore your hormones or to make sure you ovulate, either pills you take orally or some injections, and then we tell you what time you should get intimate to your partner, and then that solves it. And some couple, it's just that they do not know the timing. That is all. So just education, counsel. If it's a problem with the tubes, we're able to flash some of them to open even if they are blocked, and then that does it. If it is fibroids or the polyps, we see them quite common. We deal with them, and then we are all happy, and treatment works, and pregnancy comes. Sometimes you do all that and the pregnancy does not come. It means we have to go a step higher, where we have to give the woman some medication. So instead of just releasing one egg, she'll have eggs here and eggs here, just to increase the chances. And then with that, we say, go have your intimacy between this number of days, or we take the sperm, process it to make it a bit better, and we inject it inside a woman, and that is called intrauterine insemination. That increases the chances better. If that wouldn't work, then we do what we call the IVF, where we have the woman develop more eggs through daily injections, and when the eggs are ready, we take them out and take the man's sperm, so that if too many of them are abnormal, we select the few normal ones and use it to fertilize the eggs to form the pregnancy in the lab. And then before we carry maybe 2 or 3 and put inside the womb, and then we've solved the problem. Okay? In the case of the men, if it is just a low count, then we use the medications. Some men have, you see the blood vessels you see here, the veins. Some men have too many of that around the testes. And when that happens, you see, when God created a human body, he puts that scrotum outside of the human body, because the scrotum needs a temperature lower than the rest of the body to be able to make the sperms, which is why we say to the men, don't wear very tight underpants that will squeeze the scrotum to the rest of your body. So it should be loose and feel free, get enough air. And so men who do a lot of long distance driving, some vehicles, the engine is right under the driver's seat, the heat is literally just cooking the thing, okay? And then if you also do a lot of hot water.
Bathing with hot water?
Yes, daily, you can imagine, morning, afternoon, evening, morning, evening, a
no,
lot of heat.
But they don't like taking their baths already.
Edem, be careful. You are talking
careful.
to one.
Oh.
To 2.
Some men.
So, encourage against those things. You know, when you wear a lot of hot underwear black absorbs heat. So we discourage that. People putting their laptop, we're even beginning to realize that.
Doc, on the case of the underwears,
yes.
How about those who can wear one for 2 months? Does that also have any effect on?
That one is more of the hygiene.
Okay.
Yes. And again, of course, if poor personal hygiene, it can affect the semen when it's coming out.
Okay. Then
the laptops on your lap, there are some micro radiations that we are concerned about, as well as your mobile phones in these pockets. Okay, and so we are concerned about those things, which are behavioral. Minimize the intake of alcohol if you have to drink at all. Smoking, avoid that. If the man is overweight or obese, lose a bit of weight. Now, we have seen that men with abnormal semen analysis are beginning to show other signs of important medical conditions like diabetes, hypertension. And so that is pointing us that a male with infertility, we should screen you for all these other things. Otherwise, if we focus on just the infertility, yes, eventually you have the baby, then in a few years' time, we are losing you.
Left the baby.
Okay. Now, some of the treatment for the men will require some minor surgery. If you have that plenty blood vessel around the testis called varicocele, we do some minor surgery to just clip them off, and then things would improve. In the advanced form where the testes are not making the sperm, or whatever is coming out is azoospermia, there is no sperms inside, we need to find out, is it like the man is making the sperms but they are not able to travel out, or is it that the testes are not making the sperms at all? A good number of them, they are making the sperms, but the travel channel is blocked.
Okay.
In that case, we have to do some procedure, go into the testes and harvest the sperms and use it to fertilize your woman's eggs for you to get a pregnancy. And these are all the things we do to solve the problem right here.
So infertility can be solved.
Certainly.
And in a case where all of these are still not working, there is surrogacy.
Yes.
And there is adoption as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Reverend Asante Adjei, your very final words in just like a minute.
Well, infertility is part of the life's journey. And if you happen to be traveling on that journey, never lose hope. Because with God, nothing is impossible.
Thank you very much. Doc, you have final words too?
Yes. That men, when we are having a hard time conceiving, let us come together as a couple. There is help available. No matter what the cause of the infertility is, there is help.
There is help available. My takeout from this is the fact that Doc mentioned that with their research now, it is looking like the men are even becoming the people who are, leading the case of infertility in marriages. And so it's important that we don't push all on the woman and not take care of ourselves. It's important that if you're a man, you take care of yourself as well, because it just could be you. 40 Weeks and More was brought to you by Ernest Chemist Limited, by Shape Healthcare Specialist Medical Center, and by Labadi Beach Hotel, Deco Zone, to Lunch Avenue, and also to Dobeta Merchandise. Next week, we come your way with yet another educative segment on 40 Weeks and More. My name is Edem Knight-Tay. See you.